Call the Board of Public Works to order on Tuesday, December 6th. Today I'll introduce the Board of Public Work members that are here. Ann Jacobson, the City Attorney, and myself, Eric Lemon, Director of Public Works and Utilities. Also with us, we have Alan Wazalowski, the City Engineer, and TJ Nixich is a Project Engineer for the City to help discuss the plans for these projects. The purpose of today's public hearing is to take testimony, comments regarding special assessments. Comments received will be referred to the CISM Committee or Capital Improvement Street Maintenance Committee later this week, December 8th at 5:15 p.m. CISM, Capital Improvement Street Maintenance Committee, may approve, disapprove, or direct any changes in special assessments. Any recommendations by CISM will go to the Common Council on January 10th at 6:30 p.m. is related to special assessments. All property owners received the notice of public hearing, which was published November 28th. The notice does not have to be read if people in attendance have no objection to dispense with the reading. I'm going to go over the assessment rates. The assessment rate for street is $55 per linear foot. Sewer lateral is $500 lump sum if replaced. Drive approach is estimated at $6.50 per square foot. The replacement of defective sidewalk is estimated at $8 per linear foot. And installation of new sidewalk is estimated at $16 per linear foot. At this time, Alan and TJ will do a quick overview of the project for details before we get into the public hearing and ask for public comment. TJ, you want to do a quick overview of our projects this year?
All right. So we are proposing 4 projects this year. They're all similar in scope to where the road will be completely reconstructed and the utilities underneath will all be replaced. These 4 projects, Henrietta Street from Bellis to 13th Street, Grant Street from 6th Street to 7th Street, and then 10th Avenue from Oak to West Wausau Avenue, and 17th Avenue from Stewart to Elm Street. The reason these projects were chosen to move forward were the roadway has lasted longer than its typical design life, and normal maintenance operations won't or are not cost prohibitive, or they are cost prohibitive. So the next step is to do a complete reconstruct. And then also the utilities underneath are at failing or near failing condition, so they need to be replaced in order to keep things moving smoothly. We can discuss what to expect during construction a little bit later. If you have any particular questions, you can come up and ask us. We'll stay after the public hearings, and you can ask us individual questions about your personal property or what to expect during construction, but we'll be sending out letters prior to construction to give you guys a little bit more information. So our schedule for the projects, typically construction season is between May 1st and October 31st. We will not allow the contractor to work that entire length. Depending on the project size, we usually limit it to a certain number of days. Larger projects being somewhere around 3 months, and then smaller ones like Grant Street could take about a month, maybe to 45 days. So getting back to the letter that we'll be sending out prior to construction, that's going to go over some of the items that you can expect as far as getting to your property, street travel, your access to your driveway, and then garbage collection, temporary water service, because we will be replacing the water main. You will have a temporary water service hooked up before the project begins. It shouldn't affect you other than you're going to have to allow a contractor to come in and make sure that the water is or the air is removed from your line once they make that new connection to the temporary system. And then also in that you'll be instructed on what to expect for the newly poured concrete, landscaping, and then also mail delivery. So we will be setting up temporary mailboxes for all the residents. It'll be in a couple of locations if it's a larger project. Usually at the end of either end of the project, we'll set up a cluster mailbox so that mail delivery is not interrupted. And then to date, you should have received 2 letters. One notifying you of the public hearing, giving you some base assessment information, and then some estimates on what you can expect to pay. And then the other letter you should have received is just some basic information on your property, whether you have a sump pump or any sprinkler systems that we may get into, or that we'll have to reconnect, and then also your drive approach width. So we ask that you get those back to us as soon as possible so we can move forward with our design. We would like to bid the projects out in January, so the sooner the better. We can still make edits after that, but in order to get a good, accurate bid, we would like this information back as soon as possible. Driveway widths can be anywhere from 12 to 30 feet in width. And then finally, we ask that you allow us construction access. This construction access should only encroach a couple of feet onto your property. The main disturbance will be where we have to reconnect your water and sewer service. That will probably have to go, 5 and maximum of maybe 10 feet onto your property. The other part is where we have to do sidewalk replacement. That should be 1 to 2 feet onto your property, which will be fully restored with new topsoil and seed by the contractor, unless you request otherwise. But if there are additional questions after pertaining to your individual property or the project, feel free to stay after. And we have plans that show the properties and the new utilities.
Thanks, TJ. At this time, I will open up the public hearing for Henrietta Street from Bella Street to 13th Street, Grant Street from North 6th Street to North 7th Street, 10th Avenue from Oak Street to West Wausau Avenue, North 17th Avenue from Stewart Avenue to Elm Street. Anybody who wants to speak on special assessments, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and give your comments regarding special assessments. Hello?
Hello, Jesse Majeski. I live at 1016 Henrietta Street. I just had new sidewalk put in, and there's nothing wrong with my drive approach. So you guys are just going to rip it out and make me pay another couple $1,000s to fix it again? So I don't have a couple $1,000s laying around, so it was all just redone. So now you guys are going to rip it out. In my paper, it said you guys are all going to rip it all out. So now I got to come up with another $3,000.
If the sidewalk is new and not in poor condition, we will not rip it out and replace it. The only time we'll have to rip it out is if it's in the way of one of our private, or the sewer water utility services. And if we have to do that, then we'll replace it at no charge to the customer or to the
Okay,
resident.
so what about my drive approach then? There's absolutely nothing wrong with my drive approach, but
The drive approach from, the sidewalk to the roadway will likely have to be replaced, just because in order to get new curb in there, it's virtually impossible to get anything in there without disturbing the drive approach.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So you're just gonna ruin my driveway because it's easier for you guys. If someone was building a house and wanted to put in a new window for you, they're not gonna rip down your wall to put a new window because it's easier for them. I mean, I don't understand why you would have to rip up my driveway when there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Makes no sense to me.
I think, this is regarding the special assessments. I think if you have specific questions after the meeting, they'll be here for that. I think that what TJ is saying is that to match grade for the street and the drainage and everything else that has to happen, it's likely the drive approach will have to be tore out and put back in.
So you're just gonna ruin everybody's stuff at our expense because it's easier for you guys. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Mr. Chair, we've taken comments.
Yes.
And this is not supposed to be an exchange or question and answer session with
Yeah.
the engineers, although his points are well taken and they're noted
Yep.
for the record. He can talk with them more directly after the hearing.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else like to come to the podium, speak on special assessments? This is for taking public comment with regards to special assessments. This isn't the back and forth question and answer. This is if you have specific comments related to special assessments and opinions on those, you can provide those and we'll put them on the record for you. That'll go to committee and council for them to read and see. If you have specific questions on your property after the or after the public hearing, you can speak with the engineers individually. Yes, sir.
Hi, Nick Schrader, 515 North 10th Avenue. My comment is, how are people on fixed incomes supposed to be able to afford this? And even though they will have to pay for it, how come you don't offer interest-free payment or repayment plan for the taxes? That's all.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else is going to come up there. I had one to read into the record. I got an email from a Lucas Loveland at 1222 Henrietta that he wanted read into the record, that he was not for the, I mean, we'll include it in the record, but basically that he was not for the assessments and that he didn't feel he could afford a $4,000 bill.
Okay.
Matt Krasowski at 117 South 17th Avenue. I just wanted in the record that there is absolutely no reason that the sidewalk from Stewart Avenue up to Elm would need to be removed at all. It is flat. You guys have always maintained that as a trip hazard to the kids going to school. There's absolutely no reason to replace that entire block of sidewalk. I can understand the driveway entry, but there's no reason to deal with sidewalk. And at the dollar amount that you guys are charging for my 123 feet, it's pretty substantial. You guys are imposing around a $20,000 assessment on my property. I'd like it to just leave the sidewalk, leave my driveway alone. I just put in new blacktop. I don't need to have that ripped up. I have perfectly good curbing and guttering. So, and my laterals, when you guys were there, when I built the building 10 years ago, you said they were great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
Jason Mabaji, North 608 North 10th Avenue. I live right on the corner of 10th and Bridge. You guys redid my lateral to the main in the winter because it froze and broke, so there's no reason to redo that. It was redone when Bridge Street was redone. I'm right on the corner, so I don't see any reason why either my approach or sidewalks need to be ripped up either. I mean, that was just redone when you guys redid Bridge Street, so that's all I got.
Thank you. Third and final time, anyone else wish to come and speak at the public hearing? At this time, I'll close the public hearing. As I said before, Al, you got,
Yeah, so I will have the plans for Henrietta and Grant Street. So we'll be up front if anybody wants to see or has specific questions on Henrietta and Grant. TJ will have 10th and 17th if you want to speak to them on those. So thank you.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.